All right, we're live with episode 4 of Hoosier Hardwoods Live. We got a lot of different stuff we're going to talk about tonight. I got a deer head here on the wall, and we'll tell a story about that here in just a little bit. It's my personal deer, and there's a great story behind it, and I can't wait to share it. So I don't care about size, but it's got a good story. So we're going to make sure we get to discuss that tonight. We're going to talk about some weather, stand locations, crops, transition, food sources. I know there's a lot. Dakota and I were talking about it right before the show came on about how soon do you start hunting? Do you wait this time of year? Do you, depending on your properties and so forth? So it shows we got one person watching. So if that one person could please share this out so we can get more people in here and get us a good discussion about hunting tonight. So we definitely appreciate it. So what have you been up to last week, Dakota? We was off last week. We had some scheduling obligations come up. We're going to try to, like I said, whenever we first started this back up, we're going to shoot for every Monday night at 8 o'clock. There could be some scheduled changes. There could be stuff that comes up that we might not be on. I know tomorrow night we've got Jason Van Meter's show, Southern Indian Whitetail Talk. We'll be live again tomorrow night with that. It'd be me, Jason, Darren, and Cody on that show. Like I said, that's Jason's show. I'm just producing it. I'm kind of like the man behind the computer, and I get fortunate enough to sit there and listen to him talk and try to learn something. So, but anyway, what have you been up to the last week or so?
Playing softball. No, I checked cameras. What I say to the 4th. So
4th.
Yeah, I checked them last Wednesday. Kind of not disappointed, kind of disappointed all at the same time. But been checking cameras. Have not stepped foot in the woods to hunt yet.
So we started seeing a lot of good pictures around mid-September, which we shared those on like the second episode that we had.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden now, like Triple Beam's kind of like showing every so often now. He's not as frequent as he used to be. I went and pulled cards yesterday and put out my new Wise Eye camera, try it out, see how well it's going to do. And I was kind of in the same boat. Like a lot of the target bucks that I had on camera weren't there. Now, I'm not saying there's still some good bucks out there. Don't get me wrong. Still have very high hopes with this weather changing. I am still, ready to rock and roll. But it's that time of the year, man. They'll start transition changing.
Yeah. They're not solely focused on food.
Right.
I mean, they still hit it, but they're starting to get the testosterone pumping and ready to check things out.
And as we talked about in previous episodes is, when neighbors start getting in the woods hunting, just because you're not hunting don't mean that your neighbors aren't hunting.
Yep.
So then there starts to be a little bit of pressure, and then the deer are like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Somebody's in my bedroom.
Right. Make sure if anybody says we've got 7 or 8 people watching now, but if you go, you can chime in. If you're new, welcome aboard. Make sure you give the Facebook page a like, follow, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're on YouTube. But please comment and join in on the conversation, and we'll just take this thing wherever it goes. If I can't, with this software that I use, I can't see who's physically watching. So, like we used to be able to see. But if this is just going to be a portal to get on here every Monday night, and we're going to talk about hunting. So it's not just about what Dakota and I are doing. It's about what everybody's doing. So chime in. Brad says he's still from softball.
He there was 7 teams, and we had
was it just a one-day tournament?
Yeah, but it went from first game was 8 a.m. Last game was ended. Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it went to like 1:30
this morning,
Sunday morning. Yeah, there were 7 teams.
Good grief!
Yeah, we played some pretty serious ball, and Brad umped the whole time. I think he set out one game because we had some little King's Hawaiian bread, and we brought turkey and stuff.
There you go. Had to give him a snack.
Yeah, I had to get him a snack. But yeah, it's a pretty good time.
Heck yeah. The weather was kind of chilly Sunday too, wasn't it?
Shooey. So course, Saturday morning we wake up and I'm like, I don't have enough clothes on. So I
Right.
put my ball pants on, sweatshirt. I'm like, I should be okay. I get there and I'm like froze. And we play our first game, wasn't bad. But then about 10, well, it was even before that, it's probably about 7. Man, the temperature really started dropping. When the sun set, it got cold,
Right.
cold fast.
So yesterday morning, I was like, I'm gonna go. I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna go to the farm. I want to check cameras, pull cards. You know, I know we've talked about this on other shows, and typically I don't like to do this once hunting season's started. I usually don't pull cards unless I'm going hunting. If I'm walking by a camera, I'll pull a card, whatever.
Yeah.
But I had the new camera I wanted to put out, and then I had the the Bushnell I bought off you. I had it in that corner that's always hot with pictures, and I'm like, man, I want to put that cell camera there, and I want to get that other card out there because I want to see.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see if Dagger's still in there, the one horn right side buck. And so I put jeans on and a sweatshirt. And I'm thinking, man, it's still kind of a little chilly out here. So then I get out of the truck and I walk from the truck to the backside of the farm.
And you're like, I'm hot.
I was roasting by the time I got back there. So, but yeah, it's that time of the year where it's just kind of like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
one thing I do try to do, like if I know if I'm going to check cards or hang a stand, or especially a stand in a new location where I'm like, all right, I think the deer's here, I will try to wait that I know rain's coming that next day,
right,
or later that evening or something. So it just washes your scent away.
Washes it away.
You know, and a buddy of mine from work, we went and hung a stand last Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. We started to hang it Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, it rained either Wednesday, Thursday last week. Rains Thursday last week. And we didn't get it all the way hung up, so we went back in there Friday. I'm like, man, you better hope it rains just a little bit because we've been in there walling around.
Right.
You know? But he ended up setting, I think, Sunday morning and said he's seen a couple does in there. So I don't know that we affected them too much.
Right.
But that's what I normally try to do. But I know it's hard. You know, you're like, man, I wonder what's on there.
Right. And a lot of it too, for me, is time of day. Like yesterday, I went in there like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which I know deer can show up at any time, but I was like, it's just 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to go in there. I don't want to go in there in the morning. I don't want to go in there in the evening. I'm going to go in there. I think I got there like 1 or 1:15, but I walked straight back there, pulled them cards out, set up a new camera, and then I hung that camera. I took the card out, hung it up in a different spot on the way out on the logging road, but I just, I knew where I was going. I went straight in there and I got straight out. So
in and out.
Let's talk a little bit about the weather. I know the weather is a big conversation topic right now. If you follow Van Meter St. Louis Lures Facebook page, he's always posting about weather on there. And I kind of want to just kind of reiterate a little bit what he's talking about, or what he talks about a lot. So if you notice right here on this is a screenshot, by the way, from Wave 3 weather app. But if you notice, like the transition from Friday 10/13 to Saturday 10/14, there is a 16-degree temperature drop from Friday. Now I'm talking about highs here. 16-degree temperature drop from Friday to Saturday. It's got thunderstorms late Friday night and then rolling over into Saturday morning. After this weather disturbance right here, really focus on hunting Saturday evening into Sunday morning, because that is going to be
which a lot of it varies too, though. If the wind carries over Saturday evening, even if it does, you know, don't get in there and push it.
Right.
Especially, you know, if the wind's still blowing 10, 15 mile an hour, that's something, you know, you've got Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Sunday morning might be the better if I was to go.
I think Sunday morning, Sunday evening be really, really. I mean, honestly, I would probably. Well, it depends on depends on where you're located.
Yeah.
And what, like Dakota said, like what the wind does. Obviously, if the winds die down, I think you'll be good to go. I think, I don't know, if the wind's still picked up around my area, I'll probably wait till Sunday.
Yeah.
But even after that, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, this weather pattern is going to stay there for like a 4-day consistency. So
if you look at Wednesday, though, look at the low for Wednesday.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. It's 20-degree from Thursday when all this stuff starts boiling. The lows are going to drop 20 degrees
by next Wednesday.
So that's going to be huge. So anyway, if and that is a Saturday and Sunday we had a weather disturbance,
Mhm.
and then this Saturday and Friday, Saturday we're gonna have a weather disturbance. So
Yep.
the 7 to 10 day period that Jason discusses a lot is very accurate because it's like I said, we're 7 days and this disturbance is coming through again. So something to just to keep in mind. I just wanted to share that tonight. Just kind of something to look at. So Grant and Brad are going back and forth about. So I need to see Brad's skills in Bedford for softball.
So speaking of Grant, we played in Bedford last Monday, and I told him, I said, next time you see Matt, I need you to ride him like a barred mule. And he goes, how you know Matt? And I was like, well, I told explain it
Right.
to him. And he goes, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I knew of Grant before, with his sports apparel.
Right.
And I think me and you had talked about it.
Yeah,
and
he's a big sponsor on the Flag to Flag show.
Yeah,
Too.
and then like I said, I talked to him up there and told him next time he sees you, just give you a hard
I'm
time
sure he
wherever you
will.
go.
I'm sure he will. A lot of them drivers and stuff do. They keep me on my toes for sure.
Yeah.
Dakota, have you seen the albino doe that's been spotted between your house and mine on the back roads? Me and Kinsley have made a few trips this week looking for it.
I have not. That is the first I have heard of it. And hopefully I mean, everybody wants to see an albino deer, but hopefully she makes it. I think it's neat.
I do too.
But no, I have not seen the albino doe. Now I do know a few years ago, talking about albinos, up by Skylight Road, there was I think it was a set of twins, and I could be wrong, but there was a couple running around up there.
Really?
Which the way the crow flies, that ain't a mile from my house. I mean, if you go from the back of Dad's Ridge.
There was one actually out by Rush Creek Bottoms. And me and my wife did see that one right around one evening.
Somebody shared something on Facebook. It wasn't albino. It was on I think the Tacticam page that I'm on Facebook. And this deer had 4 white socks. It was a buck.
Did it really?
Like an 8-pointer, about size of yours.
Right.
And he had 4 white socks. Hooves was white, and about this far up his leg was white. All 4 of them. Just
that's cool.
Cool, neat deer.
I don't know. The thing about it is if you was to harvest something like that, that's almost a full body mount just because it's unique.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like people shooting the piebalds.
Right.
I mean, that is cool.
It is.
I don't have a deep enough pocketbook, but
right. That'd still be cool. So Peyton's brother-in-law, Andrew, he shot that albino last year.
Yeah.
I think he's actually getting a full body mount done of it.
That's cool.
So, but it's unique. Like it's unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's once in a lifetime.
And I think it was pretty pricey for what he was doing it for. But it's like he said, it's like once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Opportunity he's going to have. So might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Derek says the same area.
I think Brad's comments, Austin Green. I think. He harvested a really nice deer. Him and I'll think of his name.
Also, too, anybody that watches this, the 14 people that's watching now, or whoever watches it, if you harvest something, send us some pictures.
Yeah,
I mean, send them to the Hoosier Hardwoods page, and we'll get them posted up and share them out there. Because if you harvest a nice one, I mean, it's worth showing off. I don't even care how big it is.
I gotta look it up. It's driving me crazy.
Look it up.
I know exactly.
This right here is what you call boots on the ground, behind the scenes investigating. Him and Devin.
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew who I wanted to say.
Brad put it on there.
Yeah.
Him and Devin.
Yeah, they both killed pretty good deer.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna tell a story about this one behind us. Okay. So when Hoosier Hardwoods Outdoors did their first live episode, whatever, we had, and Brad, I didn't ignore your text you sent me earlier. I had planned on putting this one on the wall behind me, so and telling a story about it. But we had a post and we put deer heads on there, and we would like showcase deer, each week or whatever. So that's what Dakota and I are going to do. We're going to start. I don't know if it's going to be every week, but we get a deer head, we're going to showcase. We'll bring it in here and we'll put it up, whatever. So I'm going to tell a story about this buck right here behind me. I deer hunt. I have bow hunted for 20 plus years, right? And I'm not scared to admit it, but one thing that has always eluded me is shooting a buck with my bow. I don't know why. I have shot several deer with my gun, bucks with my gun, and I have shot a ton of does with my bow. Why I have struggled so bad to harvest a buck with my bow, to this day, or until then, I had no clue. I mean, everything would go wrong from hitting limbs to missing.
Well,
Terrible, just terrible luck.
Right before you harvested this one, didn't you hit it?
Yes,
shoot
I had it
deer,
on film.
but could not. Nobody
We
could
looked
find it.
forever
Yeah.
and could not find that buck.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And the crappy part about it is, whenever I shot that buck, I didn't have the camera turned all the way over on the deer, so I didn't have any footage to go off of to see where I hit it.
See where you hit him.
Now, we did have blood. I mean, there was a blood trail, but it was just so sporadic and we got all the way over to the neighbor's property. Derek come out. We went over on the neighbor's property and we looked and we searched everywhere and could not find that deer. So, I mean, I was like down. Like, I'm just, you know how hunters are.
Yep.
Everybody's went through it, just down and out. So anyway, later in the season, I'm sitting there and it was one of these weather disturbances. Weather had changed, and I thought, all right, I'm just going to put some Van Meter Sandler's doe in heat on a rag. I'm going to drag it all up the back logging road around to this stand. I'm just going to hang it up in a tree. Wind was perfect. I took the chance. The wind was kind of like coming off my back left shoulder, like blowing out in front of me. Because I thought, if he comes down there and it's blowing this direction, he's going to come this way. So I'll have 3 or 4 opportunities to shoot him before he gets to me. So I'm sitting there, just nice, peaceful evening. And all of a sudden I look up and I see movement coming out of the thicket in front of me. And I'm like, what in the world? This is not going as planned. Like, this could not be any worse. So, and he come in downwind of me, which, any buck, you want him to come this direction, but they're going to come in downwind of you. Because I'd hung this rag up on a tree and he come in kind of like diagonal like this. I'm thinking, oh no. And the first thing he does is he steps out on the logging road because he can smell this doe and heat on this rag. He steps out, he takes a look to his right, takes a look to his left. Then all of a sudden he looks right up at me. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is how this is going to go down. Well, then he just got a big nose full of that doe and heat. I mean, because it wasn't like 3 feet from his head. And then as soon as he turned his head to look at that rag, that's when I drew back and I stuck him right in the shoulder. And I knew whenever I shot, I was like, because I didn't get full penetration because he was kind of quartered to, but it was one of them shoot now or, cry later kind of things. So he ended up running. It was at an angle. I think I clipped, I actually hit his liver. And when I was like his back left leg. Long story short, I tracked him. He's still alive. He went over on the neighbor's property through the creek, and then he was laying on the other side. Peyton had come out and was helping me track it. We went through this whole thicket, and at first, I mean, there was great blood. Yeah. Found part of the arrow part that broke off, and I'm thinking, he's got to be laying right here. So then we go all the way through this thicket, and we get to this big intersection. That intersection right there where Addie missed her turkey or whatever. And we're just looking around. There was no blood. I'm like, are you like this? I'm like, I was ready to sell everything I own at this point. And Peyton took off he went to the right, back down in that creek, going that direction. And for some reason, I don't even know why I did it. I went to the left, and then I thought, I'm going to go over here and just check this creek, make sure. And as soon as I got to the edge of the creek, I mean, this creek's probably 10 yards wide, or about 8 yards wide. And he was bedded on the other side of the creek over there staring at me. And I'm like, are you serious? So I ended up putting another arrow in him, and, it was toast. So, anyway, long story short, I don't care. Like, that's one thing that I miss most about the hunting industry today is, dude, I don't care the size of that deer. Like, the fact that was my first archery buck harvest. I mean, he could have been 80 inches and I wouldn't have cared. Like, it was a chapter in my hunting book that had been closed. Yeah. Like,
sealed the deal.
I could sleep better at night. Then to me, that's what it's all about. So I know that I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I've got so many more memories of before hunts, after hunts than actually the size of a rack. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Stuff like that. I mean, it's great, but
Well, and that's, I mean, my very first deer, which I've got him mounted. So I guess we could maybe not next week, but I guess we could move a day or something, maybe do it next week.
Yeah.
But I could bring him and tell a story
Yeah.
about him too. But,
Bring him over.
my first deer wasn't no giant. I mean, it was a really, really good first
Right.
deer. I mean, and then I was fortunate enough, I think 2 years later when I first, started to get into archery, I harvested my first archery buck,
Right.
which that story was crazy, so then when the
Yes.
rifle season come, it was
Right.
pretty easy after that, kind of waiting. And
There's just so many cool stories, man. Like I don't know. It's just kind of chilling a little bit. Just the tradition of actually hunting and knowing what people go through to get. And that's one thing too that I hate so much about social media, because people will post a picture of a deer and then we, as other fellow hunters, just assume, oh well, that should have went another year. Like, you don't know. Like, that buck there was a chapter in my life that I closed.
Yeah.
And he ain't the biggest thing ever. I mean, he's barely to the edge of his ears, but dude, I don't care. Like, I had a grin from ear to ear and perfectly happy with it. So, and then that's the same way with Addie's buck. I'll bring Addie's buck on here one night too. I mean, it was opening morning and me and Derek and Addie went to the farm, and I told Addie, I'm like, look, sis, I said, I don't care. Like, if it's brown, I mean, you've never filled a buck or filled a deer tag. I was like, have at it. Dad's giving you the green light.
Yeah.
It's brown, it's down.
Make it happen.
So we're sitting there, and I bet it was 20 minutes after legal shooting light. And, which, the story, I'm just, for whoever's watching, she's like, Dad. I'm like, what? I'm thinking, I hear gunshots and stuff. I'm thinking, just calm down, right?
Yeah.
And 20 yards from us is this dandy buck. And I'm like, no way. Like, I don't even know where this deer came from. Like, I guess it kind of come down the hill, the other side of the ravine behind a tree. And we couldn't see it. Well, he gets down in the creek bottom, and then he comes up and is like angled away, like walking away from us. And I told Addie, I said, and I have the video. It's the first kill I'd ever filmed on video.
Yeah.
And it was with a little bitty $200 camera that I'm sitting here holding with my hand. Not even, no camera arm, no before the fancy gear or whatever. And I said, I'm going to stop him and then you shoot. And I'm thinking, okay, we have practice in the backyard, right? But this is her first real hunting situation she's ever shot at a deer. Let's just see what happens. So I went rah, like that, and that buck stopped on a dime, turned around, and as soon as he turned, Addie pulled the trigger. Boom. I'm thinking, all right,
Yeah.
But I don't have no idea if she hit it. I'm sitting here trying to look in the 3-inch viewfinder on the camera, Well, this deer goes running up over the hill and it never came back the other side of the hill. So I'm thinking either went up the other ravine into that thicket or he's down. So anyway, we get down. I told Addie, I was like, hey, I said, sis, let's just go down and see if there's any blood, because she was kind of tickled and happy. And I was like, man, I don't want to like ruin this moment, we get down there and the first thing we find blood instantly. So then I'm like, okay, let's get pumped up a little bit, walk over the ravine, and he didn't run 110 yards.
Yeah.
So, and that deer scored 138. And I'm thinking, I was so happy for her, but I'm like, but anyway, but I remember that. I can still remember the smells, everything from that morning. Just gives me chills, but it's the greatest deer stand ever made. It is. There's been a lot of bucks a lot of deer that's been harvested out of that little valley right there. We call it the pond stand, but a lot of deer have been harvested out of that little valley. So cool though. So cool. But yeah, we're going to bring some deer heads in here and we'll talk about them and we'll go tell some stories and that type of stuff too. So
what subject you want to hit on?
Let's go. What's everybody's crops looking like in their area? I know there's been a lot of farmers that's, there was a couple days slowdown just because of the weather, but there's still a lot of people. There's a lot of crops out. And I told Derek this the other day, or actually it was yesterday. I called him. I was talking to him because I went to check the cards, and man, the leaves are dry.
Yes.
Like they're going to change fast and fall quick this year, I think.
Well, and I know they threatened, weather forecast threatened last weekend for a frost. I don't think it ever got cold enough to get a frost, but let me tell you, if we would have got a frost last weekend, you'd have seen a lot of leaves out of trees, especially after that front push through. But
So I think northern counties, probably like north of Jackson County, I think there's actually a frost advisory coming up. So we'll see. I mean, it would change. It definitely change the game for
Yeah.
sure.
which my cousins did run the beans, so I am officially, well, I say crop free. My neighbors have still got to run their corn, and which that will be a telltale sign. And I would assume, just guessing, that is where triple beam's hanging out.
Right.
I mean, there's a pond, rock throwing distance from the edge of the cornfield. So I'd say what he's doing is he's bedding down in the corn, eating, getting a drink of water, bed back.
He has. He don't have to go
No,
nowhere.
he don't have to leave.
Yeah, he don't have to go
So
nowhere.
I would say that's probably what my situation is. I mean, I'm still getting pictures of him, but it's not consistent like it had been.
Right. Chandler said corn around him is still standing. There is quite a bit. It seems like a lot of people are going after beans,
Yeah,
getting beans out.
which I know for any of those that know anything much about farming on here, which I'm sure a lot do. My cousins talked to them. They said moisture right now in the beans is probably the lowest they've ever seen.
Really?
So
dry.
the beans that they're running, I think that what they run down there at Dad's was averaging like 11% moisture. And they want them to be, I think what they told me, they want them to be about 14, 15, maybe even.
So they're 3% lower than what?
Yeah. And then I heard my uncle talk about it this weekend. We had family dinner yesterday, and he said this has been the dustiest crop of beans he has ever seen.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy. I know. We've not hardly got any rain at all.
No, in the fall.
And what rain we have is just trickled. It's not like
Yeah.
it's been a good.
Which I mean, we've
rain.
had. I think that last rain, which would have been last Thursday, Dad said he had 4/10.
Did he?
So I mean, we're getting a good rain, but we don't notice it because the ground is soaking it up so fast.
So fast, right?
It don't.
It's like a sponge.
Yeah.
Like a sponge.
But yeah, I'm the same way, Chandler. I've got corn still standing around me. Like I said, I think that's kind of what's dictating my camera picture. My cameras right now.
This question here is going to be for whoever's the 10 live viewers or whatever. I want to discuss stand locations a little bit. As far as like mobility and stands that are permanent. I get in this, I don't know about everybody else, but I get in this rabbit hole of YouTube videos. And once I start watching them, my wife will go to bed. She'll lay down early and watch her crime shows, wherever she watches in the bedroom. And I sit there in the living room and I watch YouTube on the TV.
Yep.
Now, I understand that this whole mobile game is like huge right now.
The running and gunning. And so my opinion on the whole mobile and permanent, if you're going to public ground or a chunk of ground that you have got permission for and it's not a big chunk of ground, absolutely mobile. Way to go.
Right.
100%, because you can get your stuff, get in, get out. Whereas, me and you, we're hunting pretty good chunk of ground. Field edges, stuff like that, more permanent. Just because, which
I think a lot of it too is agreeing with what you're saying is just like your dad's property and like the property that I hunt. I know the property.
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm not saying that the deer aren't going to change, because deer change all the time, but I feel like the stand locations that we have are there for a reason.
Our best chances to harvest a deer.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
And
but I do like the mobility though, because if you ever do need to change,
yeah.
But here's my problem though. Like, I'm fat, right? I'm a big guy, and the thought of hanging off the side of a tree 18 to 20 foot in the air.
Yep.
I just have not I don't know, not talked myself into it yet.
Which the saddles have come a really long way.
Yeah, that's what I want to go with.
They've come a really, really long way. Now, lock-ons, they haven't, how do you want to call it? Evolutionized, I guess, to really advanced. Obviously they have cut weight off of them and made them lighter, convenience of packing them in and stuff, but really they haven't changed much.
I think the saddle game kind of like
took over the
took
lock
over
on.
the lock
Yeah.
on deal.
Which, so I'm running, I've got 2 lock-ons. I'm only running one because it was kind of one of those deals. Again, mobility, because I've been getting pictures of deer here. I've got a permanent stand, probably 150 yards down the tree line, but now I know I can hunt here or there, and it is nice being able to be mobile.
Right.
But at the same time, my stands that are permanent, I know I can harvest deer there.
So here's another question on top of that. This has been a conversation on some of the other Hoosier Hardwood shows, but stand height. I want to get okay. What's your opinion on stand height? Do you look for cover and hunt the cover, regardless if it's 8 feet or 20 feet, or would you prefer more open and go 20 feet?
Well, considering I'm a ground squirrel, I don't like heights. Even though I've got a cage around me and I normally always wear my harness, I'm guilty of not wearing my harness in some of my double man stands because
Right.
I do have a bigger cage on them. Now I should. I'm not saying I shouldn't.
Right. Safety first, kids.
Now, if I'm bow hunting, I would like a little more height just because I guess it's a double-edged sword, because if you're bow hunting, yes, you want cover. But if you can have cover and height, it's always a bonus.
Right.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know guys, older guys in particular, I'm used to 20 feet, 20-ish feet, 15, 15 to 20. And a neighbor of mine gave me permission here a while back, and he's an older fellow. And he's like, you can hunt that stand, that's fine. I'll walk up to it, and I'm like, this thing ain't 4 feet off the ground, and he just, so on a ladder stand, how you've got your connects, you've got like 3 ladder sections that you can connect on.
Was there none on there?
There was just the single that hooked to the stand, setting against tree, strapped down, everything good. I'm like,
I'll tell you what's funny about that. So Derek and I out there at the farm, we had a double man stand that was the same situation. The ladder, it had got bent up or something, so the ladder sections actually went together, were broke. I told him, I said, just put it at the end of that logging road on that Y. Just leave it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It was about 40 yards from the field edge, from the hayfield. So I hunted it one morning, and I told him, I was like, I'm going to go down there in that little stand, and I'm just going to see what happens. There's a little bitty valley behind it. There's intersections of logging roads come up through there. And I was sitting there, and it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. I looked behind me on the logging road. This buck had got up out of his bed and was working across the logging road. He's going to go down that little valley. I grunted at him, and he turned on a dime and came right down that logging road right at me. And I shot him about 25 yards with my gun. But what helped me was cover. Like it was just, it was only like 6 foot off the ground or whatever, but I was concealed.
Yeah.
Like it was all about cover.
So, but that goes back, I mean, if I'm bow hunting, yes, I want to be a little higher because you're moving, you're drawing back, you're trying to get your footing where it needs to be. You're trying to get, anchored in.
Right.
Gun hunting, I don't.
Now, I would have never shot that buck with my bow. He would have picked me off. I mean,
yeah.
It would just so happen all I had to do was, obviously with the gun, like you're saying, just turn,
pull up, go.
Yeah. I would have never got him shot with my bow.
So I will say a lot of my stands, and probably my lowest stand right now, is my lock on. I've got 3 climbing sticks. They're muddy climbing sticks. And the way I had to place them in the tree so I could get in this tree, which once, if you used to look at it, you'd be like, you're climbing that? But the way I've got it placed, it works out good because I can grab a hold of the tree, get myself spun around it, and get up.
Right.
But I would say it's probably 12-ish feet to the platform. Now, obviously, seats probably 14.
Right.
But my other stands, like which both my double man stands, they might be 15 feet. There's some of the old school. And, now, heck, they make stand sections, 3.5 feet tall. And by the time you get it put against the tree, it's 21, 22 feet.
Right.
But I would say average across the board, I'm anywhere from 15 to 20. Now, if I get in a climber, I might go a little higher just because. But, yeah, I mean, it's
so I'll go off what Derek just said about Daniel Bland is one of the greatest ground hunters around. I do. I think too. What's cool is like going back down this rabbit hole of YouTube stuff, but like people like setting goals for themselves before the year even starts.
Yeah.
I talked to Derek Craig, New Day Outdoors. I talked to him quite a bit, just texting back and forth. And Derek's always been really good to me about answering crazy questions I have about tech stuff, editing and stuff like that. But just it's really cool, like watching a lot of stuff he does, because during turkey season, he set a goal that he was going to harvest a turkey on the ground with his bow, self-filmed. And then I know he did some deer hunting stuff that, he's going to shoot a buck on the ground, self-filmed. I think if you can set some goals too, like before the season even starts, all right, this is what I'm going after.
Yep.
And Derek was very, very adamant about he didn't care. He set a goal, and that's what he got busted, he got winded, he got whatever.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. He still stuck it out and made it happen. But going off what Derek said about the ground game, I think the ground hunting is something that is overlooked these days to an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, if to an extent, me personally, I prefer tree stand.
Yeah.
I mean, if I've sat on the ground for years, just in certain situations where I didn't have stands or whatever, the ground is not very soft. After a couple hours, the ground is not soft.
Yeah. So going back to the ground, Dad's cedar thicket behind the house, which it's not his, but I got permission to hunt it. I never could figure out how to get a stand in there and be able to see, because it is so thick, and which Derek knows, and Matt knows, that place is just, it's about so thick you can't really shoot past 15, 20 yards.
Right.
So I actually shot one of the biggest deer I've ever shot. Granted, I put a non-fatal shot on him, terrible shot, but I was on the ground on my knees. I'd shot the doe he was chasing. She run over 30 yards, fell over, and he come right down the same trail, and I was face to face with him. I'm going to say 10 yards at the furthest. I mean, he was on top of me. But the ground game, well, this deer I harvested this past year, I was on the ground. I wasn't even in a stand. But hunting with a gun and hunting with a bow,
different,
two totally different things. But if I know if I'm seeing deer somewhere else and I don't have a stand and I can't get a stand in there, I'll sit on the ground.
Right.
I'm going to take my best chance to harvest. Now, I think on the ground, you really have to focus on scent control.
Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, your feet, your boots, your head,
everything.
You have got to be tip-top shape,
right.
Scent control.
I think you can definitely take advantage of like blowdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Any type of like
Deadfall.
landscape.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely take advantage of that.
So this deer, I was actually setting in a treetop that had fell. There was a limb crossing over in front of me, and I was sitting in the Y of it. So I rested my gun right on, the branch right here, and it was a gun rest, and I was just comfortable as could be.
Yeah.
Granted, it was snow on the ground, my butt was wet, but
right.
I mean, it was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
Chandler said my uncle was a ground still hunter and always had great luck. Yeah, it's crazy how there are people that's what they believe in. That's how they hunt. And a lot of it too is, I noticed a lot of it is older generation.
Yeah.
Like this is back before all of the hunting industry. All the hunting industry hype. Of this stands better than whatever. Everybody knows the case, but
yeah.
Back in the day where Grandpa, we still do it out of our place we hunt. We build, wooden homemade tree stands or whatever, but that's all we had. And then if it wasn't for that, if you wanted to go hunt someplace else, Grandpa's like, sit on the ground. Yep. I don't know what else to tell you. Sit on the ground. So I have shot. Owen's the very first buck or very first deer that Owen ever harvested. Me and him were just sitting on the ground next to a tree.
Yep.
Just talking and hanging out, and then the little deer come out and he shot it or whatever. But yeah, I've spent many hours sitting on the ground. I don't regret it. Good times. Now my legs and my feet, sometimes they regretted it.
Yes.
They'd fall asleep and
go to stand up, just fall back down. Yeah.
Fall all the way back to the truck. Yeah.
But no, the whole tree stand thing, location, if you know your ground and you know where you're going to see the most deer, make it permanent.
Right.
But, you know, kind of a run and gunning situation. You know, say you've had pictures of your deer here, and you're in a transition zone. You think you can bust that tree out, get up there, and
Get it.
be able to harvest him.
Right.
Go for it.
Yeah. And I'm not like trying to sound like a broken record here, but I think that's what's cool too is you and I, we talk a lot, text, talk, whatever, but it's going back on the whole setting goals. I think hunt the way that you want to hunt. And, you know, I've right now on Facebook, I'm just going to be honest. There's so many posts out there. Somebody will post a picture of a couple of does that they harvested, and then whatever. I like them all. I think it's cool. Whatever. That's to each their own. And then you'll see somebody post, I don't know why everybody's posting all these pictures of does and yada. Like, really? Like, who cares? You know,
meat in the freezer.
But then there'll be people that comment about, well, this is the situation, and then how am I, you know, how should I hunt this? And it's all trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, nobody, to me, there are a lot of great hunters out there.
Yeah.
And I'm no professional, but it means you're no professional. But a lot of stuff we learned are just trial and error.
By doing.
You know, set up your trail cameras. If you ain't getting no pictures, move them a little bit. You know, if you start getting pictures of deer and you can put the pieces of the puzzle together, you learn something. Go after him.
Well, and that's, you know, a lot of new hunters, and I've seen it too, they want somebody to pretty much set them on a deer.
Yes.
I mean, you know, when I first started hunting, I had in my mind, this is where I want my first stand. It was my first Christmas present. You know, when I first got to hunting, I was like, I want this stand set here. You know, I know there's deer here. I've seen them. So we hung my stand. And that first year I was fortunate enough to harvest my deer. But I put in the time. I knew where I wanted to set.
You scouted.
Yes. And that's, you know, I'm no professional. You said it a minute ago. Nobody's professional. But you have to try it on your own.
Yes.
It's the only way you're going to learn.
Trial and error.
Don't go to Facebook, because normally you'll get the keyboard warriors that are, you know, they'll just burn you up.
The Facebook professionals.
Yes. And, you know, and like I said, to each their own, you know, but that's the only way you're going to continuously harvest mature deer, or even your first deer or a doe. I mean, you know, you've got to know where the deer are at.
Trial and error.
Yes.
Scout. Here's how I always say it. Buy you a new pair of boots in January, and those boots need to be wore out time deer season comes in. You need to buy a new pair before deer season comes in.
Yeah.
How many deer has Owen swam for? Derek is correct. Just one, and it was a crazy day. So, do you know that story? You ever heard that story?
I don't think so. We can save it for another time.
I'll tell it right now.
Okay.
So, we shoot this doe, right? And this doe jumps off in this Blue River down just below Derek's house. And me, Brad, and Derek's all standing there. It was me, Brad, Derek. I think little Trevor was there. Owen was obviously there. I was like, who's going to get this deer? Well, me and Brad, Derek's looking at each other like, we're the adults here. Like,
get one of the kids to do it.
So we finally talked Owen into it, and Owen, I mean, it was cold outside. Took his shoes off and everything. And he jumped in there and he swam in there and got that deer out there. But it wasn't even like it wasn't like the river flowing part of it. It was just like a pool of water.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And this deer just jumped off in there and it was just floating. And so Owen, he swam out in there and got it and drug it up there so we could take care of it. But yeah, we don't let him live that down till this day.
Yeah.
That's probably been 12, 13 years ago, probably. Good times.
Well,
no, Brad, we don't need to do that again.
Brad, the only way
I prefer not to do that again. Yeah, if you got to swim this time.
You got to swim.
Yeah. What did you want to hit on? What did you want to do?
Whatever your next one is.
I'm out.
About out.
Yeah, I got weather. We talked about the weather. We talked about stand locations. Talk about crops, and then hunting times, like how soon you gonna start hunting and all that stuff. What do you got to talk about tonight? You said you texted me yesterday and he was like, dude, look, I got a whole notebook full of stuff and we need to discuss it.
Not what I said.
Huh?
My exact text was, do I need to bring anything? You said, nope, don't think so. I can go to the camera right now and show the text.
What was you meaning you need to bring anything?
I didn't know if you needed more. Yeah. Some Debbies, some little Debbies.
You never bring little Debbies. We will eat Little Debbie's every time, but you don't ever bring them.
Yeah.
I said whenever we started this show back up, I said you are in charge of snacks.
I wish
It's
Grant,
like the daycare.
I wish Grant was on here. He could probably hit us up with some killer Little Debbie jerseys.
Well, yeah, I don't know why he's not. Is Grant, you still on here? Is he still watching? I bet he ain't on here. I bet he's asleep.
He probably is.
I bet he's asleep. We need some Hoosier Hardwoods Little Debbie hunting team jerseys.
Limited edition.
Limited edition. We might even sign a few of them, give them away or something.
Yeah. That could be whoever shares our video at. That could be at the end of the year, like do an end of year like blowout.
We can, yeah. I'm all for it. Brad, do you think they will ever allow baiting? I do not. I don't think the state of Indiana will ever allow it.
I don't think so. The only reason why is because of the food sources that we have now. So like if you look at Texas, there's sagebrush, cactuses, and rocks. A little bit of sand.
That's not very good.
But out of all seriousness, no, I think Indiana, Kentucky allows it, which is kind of surprising. Illinois does too.
Right.
Does Ohio? We'll have to look at it.
I don't think Ohio does.
I don't think they do neither. I know Iowa don't. What? Or do they?
Illinois does.
Totally wrong. I know Illinois does.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think there's too many crops around for
Ohio. Ian said Ohio, yes.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Thank you, Ian, for that clarification.
But
what's the difference between food plot and crop ground and baiting? So this is my take on it. Anything and
it's all one giant food plot.
It is.
I mean,
I think a lot of it is 90% of it's man-made crap that, your minerals, your baits and all that type of stuff. Now, I will say, what is the difference between like an actual food plot you've planted and taking apples out there and dumping them out, because apples is technically a food source? What's the difference in dumping out apples and planting an apple tree?
Well, that's just like, if per se my cousin's accidentally, was to spill some beans or some corn, whatever,
right,
and have it in a pile, and I was to harvest a deer on that pile and the DNR questioned me,
right,
that is, they have no proof that I was to do that, or, vice versa.
Right.
So
it is kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky on how they do that. And like, I don't know.
But the baiting thing, I could see more of the mineral side for the baiting, because technically that is man-made, and you're constantly putting it out.
Right.
But like the corn and stuff, I mean, which I guess that it's man-made because it's planted.
But Keaton kind of hit the nail on the head. It's a hunt over standing corn, standing beans, cut beans, apple trees, persimmon trees, food plot with whatever you can fill it with. But heaven forbid, lose everything you own over a 5-pound pile of corn. And it's kind of like, I don't know how you monitor that. You know what I mean? Like, how do you now, like your mineral substances that are actually like soaking into the ground and deer just go whatever. Obviously, you can tell that. You can test that.
Yeah.
Right? But from like a pile of corn or something of that nature, I mean, it's
that's what I was saying.
Because even if you cut, like your cousins or uncle and them cut that cornfield, all that corn is not going in that combine.
No, not all the time. No.
So,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's scattered all over the ground, but
when they're filling the grain cart or something and they spill some, like,
right?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, Brad. You open up a can of worms. I don't know how you monitor it. I really don't. Like, I don't know how you say, okay, Dakota, there's, corn over here on the ground, and you're hunting over it. Well, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's because farmers didn't get it all in the combine, or they spilled it out of the grain cart, or they,
like I said, that's a hard subject, I guess.
It is.
I mean, it's kind
I think it's just probably that right there would be a case-by-case situation, I guess. And, if the DNR was obviously called, then the DNR officer and you would handle it accordingly on the information that was given to them. I mean, that'd be my guess, right?
And that's like Brad talking about hunting with high-powered rifles. I mean, you've always been allowed to hunt groundhogs, any kind of varmint with a high powered rifle, and then what 2016, 15, 14 was whenever they opened rifle season
Right.
on deer.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for deer hunting with high powered rifles, this is just my take on it.
I wish you'd quit hitting that.
Me too.
It sounds like a gong. In
It
these
does, don't it?
headphones.
I think it's the number of hunters. You know, like coyote hunting, obviously the number of coyote hunters isn't comparable to the amount of whitetail hunters.
Yeah.
You turn that many people loose with high powered rifles, I think is what the state was looking at.
Well, and I would say at the time there hadn't been, which I know 308's been around forever, like 300 Win Mag, but a lot of these new rounds that they keep coming out with, like 6.5 Creedmoor, that round ain't been out a couple years.
Right.
You know, 243's been out forever. I don't know that they had done enough case study on the rounds prior to rifle season. You know, it's kind of one of those deals that's it's hard pressed.
Right.
Like I said, 308, you know, has been around forever. 300 Win Mag, 243, 30-06. You know, all them rounds are lethal deer rounds.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe it was just one of those deals that they hadn't studied enough. Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
So Ian said, I think allowing bait can change the natural movement of deer. It doesn't matter how good of a farm you build. Your neighbors could put a 500-pound pile of corn out. Then all the deer are going to move to them and stay there most of the time for free food. Just my take on it. I mean, I am one of those type of people that
The deer
I
are
am
going to go to where the food's at.
I'm 100% against baiting.
Oh yes, for sure.
I don't agree with it. I don't think I like the natural aspect of hunting. I get what I get everybody's take on it. I mean, I understand, but I don't even want to go down that path, because just like Ian said, I mean, you put a lot of time and effort and money into whatever you're doing, teach their own. Some people do, some people don't, but I don't want to put all my time and effort into trying to do something on the land that I hunt to improve the herd when my neighbor
reaps the reward
and doesn't even do anything. He just puts a dump truck pile of corn out there, and every deer in the county go to his farm, and he ain't done nothing. I just don't.
Well, that's like my buddy Trevor from Kentucky. So, which Kentucky you can bait, and this year he just put out I don't remember how big he said, an acre food plot maybe, and I mean it's a pretty good sized food plot, but he's also putting out corn, which all of his neighbors do. But keep in mind, down there, they are hunting knobs. I mean, it's like, I'd hate to go down there and coon hunt.
Right.
Like, I mean, let the dog out, take the side by side to get it. I ain't walking to get it.
Right.
You know, it's one of them. But, you know, he puts in all this time and effort into it. Now, normally he does reap reward on it.
Right.
But his neighbors do too. You know, so I guess the baiting thing is, if it's legal, location, because down there, they, you know, hunting on them knobs like that, there is no way you could get a deer to consistently stay at your place if you didn't bait. I mean,
I could see it.
Like I said, it is just straight hills and hollers and you name it. Like I said, it's part of it you can't even climb.
Right.
You know, you're watching deer go up it. It's like, how can I get that deer to stay over here on flat ground?
Right.
You know,
I don't know. Like, here's another take on it too. And I know I always preach to each their own, but what I don't want to see either is people putting out bait piles and then 3 or 4 does showing up and then just wiping them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's not fair chase.
No.
And that's,
I like the fair chase aspect of it.
you got my cord.
I do.
You're pulling on it, stuff on your foot. There we go. We're golden.
You good now? Huh?
Yeah. I was wondering.
I didn't want to pull your head
A
down.
minute ago, you
Yeah.
pulled it over. But
so anyway, that's a good discussion. Thanks for bringing it up, Brad. Thanks for everybody for chiming in. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we want to do with this show, be informative and have discussions about things. I know I've said that 1,000. Have I said that's 1,000 times? I think.
kind of like your satchel thing you got over there. You just,
Do you like it? Have I showed you my new bag yet?
oh my gosh. Every time I show
Dude,
up
that
here,
is the coolest bag ever.
every time I show up on the way out after the show, Matt's like, have you seen this? I got to show
I'm
you.
gonna show it to you again. No, I got laid out over there. Show you again tonight too.
Yeah,
On the chair
yeah.
over there.
Yeah. But every time he's just tickled to death with it. I will say it is pretty cool and would be handy.
It's nice, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just say it's a nice
I
one.
think I need one.
Just say it's nice.
It's nice, man.
Sweet. I'll show it to you again before you leave tonight.
Yeah. What else can you think of?
That's it. That's all I got for tonight. Other than just whatever. We got a couple more minutes. Is everybody enjoying this show? Let's just bring that up. Is everybody enjoying this show? Do you like doing this every week? That's what we want to know. We want to keep growing. We want to keep make sure, like we said on the last show too. Make sure you share this out. Share Hoosier Hardwoods Outdoors out. This is not a team hunting thing like it was in the past. This is just us having a good time, trying to show people what Dakota's all about. Some too, trying to show Dakota off a little bit.
I am pretty.
I don't know about all that, but
so Keaton, how would any other man-made attractant? So, and I'm assuming he's talking about doe scents or buck scents or anything of that nature. So you got to think a lot of the attractants that I would assume that he's talking about. Van meters is 100% natural.
right.
Your code blues and stuff like that. Maybe not so much, but those are still coming from deer.
Right.
Like, I mean, they're getting them from their deer farms all across the United States. So, I mean, that could, to me, is not considered a man-made scent. Now, don't get me wrong, your bottling process, stuff like that, obviously, yes, man is involved. But when it comes to harvesting those scents, that comes from a natural
source.
That comes from a deer. So
ask Brad about that, Keaton. Ask him about what was that? That was what's them spray bombs? Them remember the aerosol cans?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? Ask Brad about
buck bombs.
Buck bomb. Ask Keaton. Ask Brad about that. He'll fill you in on that. With story time again.
Yeah,
we went hunting one morning. Me and Brad did. It's a little piece of ground we had out there, South Tillo, and he bought this buck bomb in a can, and I was like, "You gonna let that off this morning?" He goes, "Yeah," and I was like, "Okay, whatever." So and this is probably only like a 20-acre woods, but I'm on one side, Brad's on the other. And he's hunting like straight across. I can see his orange hat, right? And all of a sudden, I hear a racket over there, and I'm like, "What in the world's going on over there?" Well, he was trying to save it, and you're supposed to just push the button down, set it on the ground, and let it go. Not Brad. He takes this up in the tree.
Yep.
Well, the thing, he pushes it down, and about the time he pushes it down, a big gust of wind comes and it blows it in his face. So Brad's got this doe and heat smell all over his face. It was in his beard. Like he's a mess. Yes. So he gets back to the truck, and I was like, "Well, what's going on over there?" The smell just hit me in the face. Like he got in the truck. I said, "Roll your window down." Windows down on the way home. But it was funny. He's like, "I was just trying to squirt a little bit and save it all throughout the morning." And no, it blew right in his face.
Yeah, they got that little.
Yeah, he said, "Don't taste good in the dark."
Yeah, they got a little lock tab thing on them.
Well, he locked it all right.
Yep.
Right in his face. Good stories. Well, you got anything good for tonight? Anything else?
Squirrel season still in?
Squirrel season is still in.
Dove season?
Dove season is still
in. No, I don't think so. I think dove went out like September 28th.
Let's look it up. Indiana hunting. A little research here.
Hey, if anybody wants to kill a striped skunk, you can legally kill them.
Squirrel season's in until January 31st of 2024.
But you can kill a skunk October 15th through March.
Oh, it's in. Skunk season's in.
No,
you can kill them right now.
No, it ain't.
Huh?
It ain't the 15th of October.
Oh.
It's only the 9th. 10th. 9th.
9th.
One of the two.
Comes in this weekend.
I tell you, I have seen a boatload of skunks this year.
I know.
Stinking.
Smell them. If anybody's wondering watching, because obviously you can't see my screen right now, we're looking at hunting season, so we're trying to fit you guys in.
Oh, nope. It goes out this weekend, and then it comes back in the November 1st through the 26th, and then again December 16th through January 3rd.
Yep, 15 limit.
That is dove for
season.
anybody who's still listening.
Snipe season's in.
Hey, you ever been snipe hunting?
No, never been.
Oh, they got some long. Aren't they the ones that's got the long beak?
I think so. Yeah.
And scare the absolute crap out of you
Yeah.
walking in the woods. Hey, I'll tell you something I haven't been seeing a lot of
What is that?
is quail. I seen a big covey this past summer at Dad's, but I have not hardly seen any quails. Yeah.
There you go. There he is.
Yep.
That's a snipe.
I didn't know they had a legitimate hunting season on them.
Sure do.
I mean, I haven't ever shot one, so I couldn't tell you. I'd like to.
That's a snipe right there.
As they scare the crap out of you.
Ain't that cool?
Pretty wild.
Look at us doing our research.
But
all right, well, I don't have anything else. Everybody, make sure you share us out, please. Let's get our numbers back up to what they used to be. Just a dork fish. You ever seen Billy involves dork fish?
mm-hmm.
Coda, do you still coyote hunt during deer season?
Yes, 100%. And that goes back to everybody, which I don't know if anybody in here coon hunts, but every year you will see it on Facebook.
The big debate.
These coon hunters ruined my deer season. They've ruined deer. La. If they have got a good dog, they will not ruin your deer season. And 9 times out of 10, a coyote does the same thing a dog does. A coon now, you know.
Right.
If a dog's going to chase a deer, I mean, a coyote's done it way more than just a regular old coonhound has.
Right.
You know, and that's so somebody, I don't remember what page it was on, but it was to kick off the great debate because obviously deer season's in, coon season's coming in. And it was 2 trail camera pictures. It was a guy with his coon hound at like, I don't even remember.
I remember seeing
it was like 10 o'clock. We'll say 10 o'clock, but I don't think that's what it was. It was later. And at like 10:15, there was a mainframe friggin' 10-pointer standing there, shooter, just same spot,
hanging out,
same spot the people were. You know, it's like I don't see coon hunting deterring the deer. Myself, I've been around it. My brother used to coon hunt. I coon hunted for a little bit. 9 times out of 10, we could literally chase the dogs right by a pack or, a whole herd of deer. And the deer just look at you like,
right.
What are you guys doing? We never really scared or chased any deer off. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, shining our lights and stuff, kind of made them antsy, but the dogs never paid no attention.
Right.
But yes, Keaton and I, which I don't really coyote hunt much anymore, it's kind of an expensive hobby, and there's too many individuals that coyote hunt now around, and it's hard, man.
Right.
Coyote hunt is hard, and it takes about 2 times of, and I'm not saying everybody doesn't know how to coyote call or everybody does, but you'll get some guys out there just playing some random stuff. Well, it makes the coyote call shy.
Right.
So, and that's same with turkeys and deer and everything else. But no, I don't really detour away from coyote hunting during deer season. Like I said, if anything, we're doing the deer a favor.
Right.
I mean, we hunted at Dad's last winter. It was still late deer season, but we'd turn the call on and the deer would be out in the field. You could look at them with our night vision and, look at them just plain as day. And they'd kind of, wonder what was going on. And they don't really run off. They just kind of venture away. We got another one of those crazy comments again.
There he is. I've been waiting on him all night. Wonder where he's been. What was blocking?
But
he's blocked.
Yep. Like I said, I don't
see you, Junior.
I don't deter away from it by any means. Like I said, it's just same with coon hunting.
What's going on, Bill? Thanks for tuning in. We're about to wrap it up for tonight, but I'm glad you tuned in. It's good to see you back in here, Bill. Bill's been a supporter since day one, years and years ago.
Hey, since Jason's on here, I gotta ask him. It's driving me crazy.
Oh, Jason, got a question for you real quick before you get off here.
Do you care if I come and just set as a fly on the wall for the show tomorrow? Just sit back, just listen. I just want to listen. I know I can watch it on TV, but it ain't the same thing. See, Adam's on the same page with me.
I thought everyone in the state bought a thermal with their stimulus money and coyote hunts.
See, it does, man. It seemed like that last probably 6 months. Well, I'd say 6 months. Last 3 months of last year when we hunted pretty hard, it seemed like everybody was coyote hunting.
Right.
You know, and that's good. You know, it's a fun sport. You know, and it gets you out at night when you can't do anything other than chase a coonhound around. But
right.
you know, man, it did. It seemed like, and you would go to a neighbor's property, you know, that you used to have permission on. You'd ask, nope, I'm letting such and such hunt. It's like,
right. And you should never been with.
I didn't even know that they were hunting. You know, then you
Right.
text them, you're like, hey, you stole my ground, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we just got into it. But like I said, that's cool. You know, and it's always fun to coyote hunt with guys and get
Right.
out.
Good time. Bill said, boy, the deer moved all day here.
I've gotten pictures. I got my last picture throughout today was at 1:00 this afternoon. And I just had one picture. It was a doe cutting through.
Gotta love the weather.
Yes.
Gotta love it.
Which they're talking, well, close to 80 Thursday and Friday.
And then
it
tank again.
nosedives.
Don't forget, we will be live with, I won't be live. It'll be on the Hoosier Hardwoods Live page. It'll be Van Meter and Son Lures with Southern Indian Whitetail Talk. Jason Van Meter, Darren Ballard, and Cody Fortney will all be in here in the studio tomorrow night talking more deer hunting.
You need to get a heater in here.
Are you cold?
I'm pretty chilly. My toesies are cold, which I'm
I
wearing.
think it feels good in here.
I'm wearing my dudes too, though.
I'll talk to Jason, see if he cares.
Okay.
Don't care.
Like I said, I just want to just hang out.
Yeah, follow me. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you share it out. Tentative schedule. We'll be back next Monday night. That's the plan.
No.
What's next Monday night?
I got my last.
Oh yeah. You
softball
told
league
me.
game. So we might have to move it to.
We might do like Wednesday or Thursday
Tuesday,
or something.
something.
We might. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So,
to be
determined.
Yeah.
Keep it on the Facebook page. So, we will see you all next show. Thanks for watching.
See ya.